Hello and welcome to Parnell Park here for the Go Ahead Dublin Senior Football Championship. We're at the quarter-final stage today. First off, we're going to have Ballymun against Castleknock. I'm Shane Stapleton, Ballyboden I should say, against Castleknock. I'm Shane Stapleton here, joined by All-Ireland winner Barry Cahill, St. Bridget's man. We're in an interesting situation with these two teams today because, unlike everyone else, they actually played four games each just to get here.
Yeah, absolutely. The more games you can get, the better before you get into the knockout stages. So they both got 4 games under the belt. Obviously, great opportunity for managers to give players game time, work on a few different things as well. But look, it's a great day to be here in Parnell Park. You know, it's the knockout stages, the club championship. It's where every Dublin club player wants to be on a day like today when you get to knockout stages, so looking forward to it. And
are there any particular key men you're looking out for today? I mean, obviously the name that jumps off the sheet for Castleknock is going to be Kieran Kilkenny. Seamus O'Carroll, he scored a goal the last day, Limerick man. And then on the other side for Ballyboden, the Baskells, Conal Keeney, there's plenty of star players there.
Absolutely. I mean, I think Kieran Kilkenny will probably need a little bit of help today up front in terms of the scoring wise and trying to get a score that will beat Ballyboden. And on the other side, yeah, the two Baskells are undoubtedly very high quality players. I mean, it was only a couple of years ago that this Ballyboden team won the All-Ireland club, so it's a big ask for Castleknock, but I think they've been, building up nicely and got a bit of momentum coming into today.
So for Castleknock, how much have they changed in the last 5 years when they got to a county final? Obviously we know that Ballyboden, they went and won in Leinster there just a couple of years ago, so their class hasn't really been doubted. But what's been the trajectory for Castleknock the last few years?
Oh, well, obviously Castleknock have done phenomenal over the last 10 or 15 years to get up to senior championship level. Getting to a county final pretty much straight away when they did get senior was a phenomenal achievement. They seem to come back a little bit in the last 4 or 5 years. They did play a very defensive game of football for a number of years there. I think they've tried to move away from that, which I believe is a good thing, and they are a bit more expansive in their play, and I think they'll need to be in tune with that today if they're to get a win.
And I mentioned Ballyboden at the start of the broadcast, or Ballymun I should say, I keep flipping them around, but I mentioned Ballymun at the start of the broadcast there. They were knocked out yesterday by Lucan. I think every team all of a sudden will fancy that they have a chance to win this title.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Ballymun were the best team in Dublin last year. In my opinion, they were probably the best team in the country last year if they did get into the Provincial and All-Ireland series. So I think last night's result, Lucan were fully deserved to get it, but I think it has probably given a lot of teams a boost today and going forward that they have a chance of winning this.
Well, the referee is calling in the captains now to do this just before the throw-in. Final prediction just before we start?
I think Castleknock will put it up to them, but I expect Ballyboden to sort of pull away maybe in the fourth quarter. Brilliant stuff,
Barry. We'll throw up to Oisin Langan, who's up in the commentary position.
Cool. Thanks, James.
It's a beautiful day for football. It is quarter-final number 3 of the Go Ahead Ireland Dublin Senior Football Championship. And, well, it's a pretty big one as well. Ballyboden St. Endas, former AIB All-Ireland club champions, up against Castleknock, who have never won a Dublin Senior Championship, but they've cemented their spot in the top tier of Dublin football over the last number of years and have even got to a final. I spoke to Graham Hannigan during the week, the fullback for Castleknock, and he said that there's a lot of young fellas after coming in and they've really improved things, they've really driven things on. We'll talk about those young fellas as the day goes on. First though, let's take a look at the 2 starting 15s. Ballyboden up first. Simon Lambert and Conal Keeney were both involved last week as they lost in the hurling quarter-final against Coola. Coola go on to play Kilmacud Crokes next weekend. Crokes involved in the football today. They're in the second part of our doubleheader against Nafina. There's some spine in that team, including Ryan Basquel and Colm Basquel. Darragh Gogan has been excellent in goal, and Shane Clayton is a very solid presence at full-back. Let's have a look at Castleknock. Kieran Kilkenny is the name that jumps off the team sheet, but Ger McDermott Rowe was excellent in their playoff on Tuesday night. Seamus O'Carroll, who has played for Limerick, is also a very wily corner forward, while Connor Chalk, Tom Shields, Rob Shaw and Tom Quinn can really get things moving. We saw on Tuesday night Kieran Murphy, who was named a cornerback, is well capable of getting up and getting big scores, including the goal he got during the week. One change, by the way, to the bench. Number 27 will now be worn by Kevin Stevenson. It was meant to be the jersey of Sean Gibbons, but that is the only late change in the lineup. Should be a good game. You wonder, will the midweek exertions catch up with Castleknock? Maybe. What is the disadvantage of having played a game so near to this is the fact that maybe they can't do the tactical preparation because they would have only concentrated on Ballantyre. Then it's not a massive turnaround time to a game like this, whereas Ballyboden have had a lot of time to prepare. That said, they wouldn't have known until Tuesday night who they were playing. Barry Cahill has joined me. Barry, of course, a former winner of a Dublin Senior Club Championship, a Leinster Club finalist, and of course an All-Ireland winner with the Dubs. Barry, what are you expecting from today's game?
Yeah, certainly looking forward to it. Oisín, it is a little bit unusual that both teams got 4 championship matches under their belt over the last few weeks, but obviously that should stand to the players and to the management team in terms of giving guys game time, working on a number of things as well leading into today's game. But look, this is a day that every club player in Dublin worth of salt wants to be part of. Your knockout stages in Parnell Park. It's a really nice day for a game, a bit windy, but the conditions are pretty much perfect to play today. But yeah, I think naturally a lot of people will have Ballyboden favourites. Castleknock have built up a bit of momentum over the last few weeks. They seem to have gone back for a couple of years and hadn't really had much of an impact in the Dublin Senior Championship after getting promoted up from intermediate a few years ago and making that final against Vincent. So they seem to have built up a little bit of momentum, and certainly I think for them to win today or to get over the line, they will need to offer Kieran Kilkenny a little bit more help up front. Naturally he is the key player and the focus of that attack, but I'm sure Ballyboden will have done their homework to try and negate his influence, so you will be looking at other guys in the Castleknock attack to try and help him and sort of win frees. Seamus O'Carroll from Limerick is certainly one guy as well, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see, and I think most people would expect Ballyboden to win, but certainly Castleknock will be well able to put up to them anyway.
You've just been on the pitch with Shane Stapleton. Exactly how big a factor do you think this breeze will be? It's blowing down towards the golf course end.
Yeah, there is a significant breeze, and I was at a club match, my own club, Bridges played Morris this morning in Senior 2 Championship in Russell Park, and it did have an effect on it.
We'll take a moment's silence, and then it will be the quarter-final between Castleknock and Ballyboden. Our referee today is Gary McCormack. Our teams are Ballyboden, St Endas and Castleknock. You mentioned there that Castleknock kind of went backwards for a few years after getting to the county final. There is a bit of a regeneration in the team. There's a few younger players who wouldn't have been part of that team in 2016. They would have been kids. I spoke to Graham Hannigan about them the other night, and he said they've brought in a really fresh attitude. They've brought in a hunger. And doesn't it just go to show how competitive the Dublin Club Championship is when you see the St Vincent's, who beat them in that final, have been relegated?
I know, like, that was phenomenal of Vincent's team. They got to 5 county finals in a row there, I think 2013 to 17, winning 4 of them, and to think just 3 or 4 years later they're now dropped out of Senior A Championship or Senior 1 Championship. It just goes to show it really is cutthroat at this level, particularly in Dublin.
A great team, a great club. Vincent's, you feel, will be back in the top tier, but you can't take anything for granted in Dublin. Colin Basquel motoring forward. In front of him is Aaron Waters. Basquel still with it, sees a man drifting in behind. Could it be a big start for Ballyboden? Yes, it is. It's a good fisted score from Warren Egan, who is an excellent young footballer. Man of the match the first day against Raheny. Does that award still count? I'm not sure, because they had to replay that game, but he was good on the day.
I'm sure it's still up on the mantelpiece.
Keeper looking out and around, Morven Connolly, originally from Mayo. Castleknock in the blue and gold, Ballyboden in the blue and white. That's not an ideal start. Will fatigue be an issue for Castleknock? They played on Tuesday night, and like, the pitch is in great order, but at this time of year it's heavier, and that's just the way of natural pitches, no matter where they are, no matter what you do to them. So it does take a bit more out of you.
It does a little bit, but I don't think that would be an excuse if they don't end up performing today. They probably only got 1 training session and maybe a tactics session in between Tuesday and Sunday, so they got the win on Sunday, and I certainly think that they would have preferred to have that game and get the win and build a bit of confidence heading into today rather than having no match. So I'd look at it maybe more as a positive than a negative.
Clayton popped it off there to Donald McCabe. Cathal Flaherty. Castleknock are dropping deep. I imagine they just want to frustrate Ballyboden early on and not allow them to get into any kind of lead, not allow them to build up any kind of momentum, but that's hard to stop. James Holland running off the shoulders, spinning out of tackles. Great to watch that kind of stuff. Basquel, keeper, watching on as the referee ducks out of the way. Conall Keeney sends it out to the left-hand side. Cutting through again, is that Egan? It's a good surging run. Ballyboden getting in behind. They couldn't get the pass away. Castleknock crowd around, and it goes to Morven Connolly. Tolan, who's got Conor Chalk with him. Conor Chalk, who's played underage for Dublin, a lively young footballer, played very well against Ballantyre on Tuesday night. Driving out of defence now. Rob Shaw has to be very careful here. Shaw's turned over. Ballyboden so strong in the tackle. Ryan Basquel. Colin Basquel. Is it to be a second point for Ballyboden? Yes, it is. Nonchalantly stroked over by Colin Basquel.
Collie made that look very easy now. It was a really good score. Kicked it at his ease there. But yeah, the wing back for Castleknock there, Rob Shaw, did exactly what they wouldn't want to do, and I'm sure they spoke about it this week, is running into tackles, carrying the ball too far and going into cul-de-sacs, because looking down on the pitch you can certainly see that Ballyboden do have that strength conditioning advantage. You can just tell by them that they look that bit stronger and a bit more physical, so Castleknock need to be keeping the ball out of the tackle as much as possible. Literally
one of the strongest teams in Dublin, Shane Boland. Boland is available for the pass back, but they delayed and give it to him. Boland loses, Reese gathers, trying to get the ball out of the tackle, wins the free. They might go in behind very quickly. Clever play by Kieran Kilkenny. Turning and twisting is Galvin. That's a really good score by Ben Galvin. As we say in Waterford, it wasn't off a stamp he licked it.
No, that was a lovely score, nice little jink and turn, but obviously Kieran decided with that quick free just to try and catch Ballyboden off guard, and it's good for Castleknock to get that score under their belt. But they are playing a sweeper back. The cornerback number 4, Tom Quinn, is back there minding the house a bit, so it might be a little bit more difficult for Castleknock to get through, because they will be a man short in the attacking sense.
Kieran Kilkenny getting his hands on the ball. You get the feeling he's going to be so important today for Castleknock. Surging through now, Tom Quinn. They're very, very fit, Castleknock. Here's Warnock. Boland, I beg your pardon. Now it's Warnock. Shoveled on by Dermot Rowe, the Roscommon inter-county player. Senan Forker. Another one of those who's played underage football with Dublin. Very, very talented, very, very confident. Tolan is waiting for it on the wing. Will it come to him? No, it's spilled. That's a poor mistake from Tom Shields. It's uncharacteristic from Tom Shields. Now motoring on is Alan Flood. Flood wrapped up, goes to ground, loses it. This is good stuff from Castleknock. I beg your pardon, that was actually Harry Donaghy. No, it was Flood. I was right the first time. Kieran Kilkenny. Conor Chalk regathers. Boland. Good ball. Galvin, who switches wings all the time. Kieran Murphy raiding forward again. Got a goal doing this the other night. Stays standing after a fairly big hit. Gets his shot away, but it's not a good one. But he has won the free.
It looked like a pretty good hit to me now. Referee Gary McCormick obviously thought different.
Sometimes if they judge it to be not square or in any way frontal, they'll give the free. But fair play to him for not collapsing into the ground. A lesser man would have. In the Senior 2 Football Championship quarter-finals, by the way, Bridget's beating Moores 113 to 13 points. Congratulations to you and the club.
Tight game after extra time.
Coola 418, St Anne's 5 points, Templeogue, Sing Street 20 points, St Mary's 111, and Parnell is beaten by St Sylvester's 5-8 to 9 points. Over it goes, Castleknock, all square.
Yeah, they settled well considering they conceded that score in the first attack of the game after 30 seconds. They've done well now so far.
Good point from McDermott Rowe. Ballyboden have to be careful carrying it out. Holland almost dispossessed, somehow spilled it to Colin Basquel, and it's a free out.
Castleknock a little unlucky there. I thought they put in some really good tackles there and some good hits, and they probably should have got the turnover in my view. So they're certainly trying to push up and be physical where possible.
We've given you the Senior 2 quarter-final results. The draw, by the way, for Senior 2 and Senior 1 semi-finals to be made after the second game today as Simon Lambert comes forward. We'll give you the intermediate results in just a second. Ryan Basquel trying to get around Rob Shaw. Basquel regathers. Conall Keeney knocked out of the hurling last week. doesn't want to go out of the football this week. He was dispossessed. Here comes Graham Hannigan, Kieran Kilkenny, two men who were a driving force when Castleknock got to the final. Lara Norton, who is the manager of that Castleknock team, will be in charge of Nafina later on today against Kilmacud Crokes. That's live on Dubs TV from 4 o'clock. Tolan did really well. Now it's Hannigan. That was a very clever ball by Hannigan. Hannigan, who had floated around Dublin squads for a few years. Tom Shields. What a run this is by Shields. He's got a man inside. Shields zipped it over when perhaps he should have gone to Dara Warnock.
Yeah, that was a brilliant run, carrying it at 50, 60, 70 yards. Ballyboden defenders just stayed off him a little bit and allowed him through the gap. I think he probably should have slipped it, to be honest. There was a guy on the left-hand side, Warnock, I think, that might have been a better option. Those type of goal chances that come in these games, you don't get them too often, and it's a pet hate of mine when guys come through and knock a goal chance just over the crossbar. I think he really should have tried to hit the target on that one.
A rarity in this game, a little bit of space. Donaghy goes out to Lambert. Simo, as they call him, has a look up, goes for it, and kicks a delicious score. Good point by Simon Lambert. In the intermediate quarter-finals, by the way, over the weekend, Clonagale Fontjoy 116, St Brendan's 10 points, Round Towers 19 points, Naomh Barrogue 19 points. Towers won that one on penalties. St Patrick's 317, Clanvera 1-6, and O'Toole's 1-9, Scully Cunnell 2-9. I spent a lot of my lockdown walking around the pitches at Clonagale Fontjoy. Didn't live too far from there. Fine facilities. Their hurling wall and skills wall is pretty immense, and every time you walk past the club there's huge numbers of kids training, so you get the feeling they're going to be a coming force in Dublin. That's a foul committed on Seamus O'Carroll. It's a free in.
Yeah, we used to do our winter training on our Pat Gilroy there back in the day in Clonagale Fontenoy, so I probably don't have as fond of memories as yourself, Oisín, from the morning sessions and the night sessions we did around December, January, February, a couple of
with that cutting breeze slicing you in half coming off the water. Yeah, I know what you mean. I had the option of stopping when I was running or walking around there. You didn't. I can only imagine trying to explain to Pat, listen Pat, I'm a little tired, I'm a little cold. Very understanding like that, I'm sure he was.
Yeah, go in for a coffee.
Ah yeah. Here's a blanket. I went to see an O'Byrne Cup game there one night actually. It was probably the coldest match I've ever been to, and it went to extra time if memory serves. Great facility though, great pitch, because it's naturally sand based. Sorry, I'm saying that like I know anything about pitch maintenance or working with pitches. They work at short. Kilkenny. McDermott Rowe is still free. Well, it was from a kind of an angle where McDermott Rowe could have easily kicked a point. They tried to work something. We'll see now if it was worth it. Ben Gallivan. Gallivan, he's jinxy, isn't he? And now he's bottled up. Does really well to win a 45. Clayton had no other chance but to block it down, or no other choice but to block it down. But really, should they have just kicked the score in the first place from the free?
Well, I think it may have been just a tad bit outside their range in terms of kicking into the wind. Maybe it's a bit stronger down on the pitch itself than it is from our vantage point. Because obviously earlier in the game, Kieran Kilkenny turned down a score opportunity from a free as well. So I think maybe 30 yards is probably 35 yards is the range there at the moment. And if it's outside that, they'll look to try and go short and move it with a quick one too. We should get a better sense of the distance-wise here from this 45.
There's a bit of a swirl in the breeze as well. So generally from the right side, McDermott Rowe takes them. On the other side, it's O'Carroll. They can argue the toss about the middle. Gets caught in the breeze and kind of drags wide. That was O'Carroll, actually, interesting enough that time. I think he probably has a bigger boot than Ger McDermott Rowe. Second wide for Castleknock. Donaghy. Back it goes from Lambert. The game is kind of slowed down a little bit. Clayton. Well taken by Donagh McCabe. Shovels it forward. Off it goes from Basquel. Donagh McCabe has a runner. Kieran Kennedy. Trying to cut off the winger, Ballyboden. That's a good ball inside. Somehow it goes off target. The shot from Donagh McCabe. They're suggesting that maybe it was a foot block, but actually it came off a Ballyboden player. I think it went wide.
I think it flicked off Conall Keeney and might have went over, but the referee's actually given steps there for the initial shot, so it's a free out here to Castleknock.
Sending Forker. Tom Shields. Forker. He'll run all day. Galvin. Shields. Rob Shaw. Having a look up is Shane Boland. Kilkenny. So hard to knock off a ball. Clever pass out wide to Conor Chalk, one of the young and talented players in this team. Conor Chalk from a very tight angle. Squeezes that one over.
That's a great score by Conor Chalk there for Castleknock, and they've started really well, and probably the plan in terms of getting lads on the ball and getting a few scores on the team sheet is working out extremely well, because they haven't been over-reliant on Kieran Kilkenny kicking scores to date, so really bright start for them so far.
Donagh McCabe. Clayton jogs onto this one. Ballyboden tries something a bit more direct. The referee, did he spot a jersey tug? Ryan Basquel looking to equalise. Could kick this one over with his eyes closed. Basquel. First point from a free for Ballyboden. Now it's 4-all. We thought we had a fourth point for Ballyboden a few minutes ago, but the referee actually, as Barry pointed out, blew it up for steps. Morven Connolly. Very experienced man. Clever kick out. Well taken by Tom Shields. Rob Shaw. Back to Connolly. Cleverly passes to Rob Shaw. Runs onto it. Had to be sure because Darren O'Reilly was closing in on it. Rob Shaw drifting forward. O'Reilly breaking his neck trying to get there. Tom Shields. Shane Boland. Shields made a run in front, but he was well covered. Boland just keeps a hold of it. He's chased down by Donagh McCabe. Rob Shaw. They look really cool under pressure, Castleknock, don't they?
Yeah, very composed on the ball.
Shaw might have a go here. And that's why he had a pop. Now 2 of the starting 3 half forwards for Castleknock have scored. Shaw goes to ground. I'm not sure if you saw anything there, Barry.
Well, he made that 40-50 yard burst out the pitch. He did seem to tweak something all right, and he nearly didn't want the ball there a few seconds ago, and reluctantly received it, and sort of reluctantly took on the shot as well, but it was a really well taken score. He's obviously down now getting the treatment, but Castleknock would be very keen for him to continue. Well,
the referee is giving the water break. This is really good timing for Rob Shaw. They'll be able to give him a good assessment and try to get him going again. He's such a vital cog in the Castleknock wheel, so they will be desperate to keep him on the pitch if they can. That was a beautiful point. Let's take a look at some of the highlights of the game so far. It is 5-4 in favour of Castleknock, and we've seen some very nice points, Barry.
We have, yeah. Ballyboden started very brightly, pretty much getting a score from the opening throw-in, which looked a bit ominous from a Castleknock perspective, but Castleknock certainly have really come into the game extremely well, and certainly I think been the better team for the first 15-16 minutes.
Moving the ball around well. Castleknock settled themselves down, got some nice scores, had a couple of goal chances as well. Well, at the very least they had one.
Yeah, and they've certainly mixed up their play as well. You saw that more direct kick into Belgalvin for that score from Kieran Kilkenny, but they've ran the ball a good bit as well from deep, and they have sort of got through the Ballyboden defence quite easily a couple of times and could have opened up for goal chances. So they've been mixing up their play well, and I'm sure the management team will be very happy sort of a quarter into the game now at this stage, and just gives them an opportunity to reassess and see if there's other areas they want to try and work on for the next quarter.
Score for score so far. These two have gone toe to toe. You do wonder, will fatigue be an issue for Castleknock, having played only last Tuesday? But they've, and I don't know if this counts for anything, Barry, or if it's just a cliche. They do have a lot of younger players in that team, so maybe they can recover a bit quicker than an older bunch of players. I know they have a few experienced guys, but does that count for something?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember when we won the championship in 2011, we ended up playing 7 rounds of games in 7 weeks, and it just meant that you weren't training that much, which was great. But playing a match every 5-6 days is something that a lot of these guys should be well able to do, unless they actually pick up a bang in the game itself.
Gogan. Straight out of play, and that's not the first time that's happened with Ballyboden. Forker. I was about to say he can carry the ball well. He can, but he didn't give us an example of it there. Tom Quinn. Kilkenny. Tolan. Tolan looking to get inside Flood. Tolan will let this one go. I think it's going to drop short. It does. Clayton. Twice in recent years, Ballyboden have been provincial club champions. Won the All-Ireland in 2016. A couple of years later, when they got to an All-Ireland club semi-final, they were beaten by Kilcoo and Cavan. It was a great game of football. Not that there was any consolation to Ballyboden. Darren O'Reilly. Donagh McCabe. Making a looping run there was Colin Basquel. Donaghy. Lambert. Good ball by Lambert to Flood. Ryan Basquel. Back to Ryan Basquel from O'Reilly. They're covering all the runners though, Castleknock. Ballyboden have to be patient. Basquel. Aaron Waters. Dispossessed. Spills it. Gets it back. Is he fouled? Yes, he is.
That's unfortunate by Castleknock. They had 14 players back inside their own 45. Seamus O'Carroll, corner forward, was the only player up the pitch, and they did really well there for a good 20-30 seconds, a number of phases of play, and it was just a little bit over eager, a little bit sloppy in that tackle. It shouldn't really happen when you have that amount of bodies back there and you're pushing Ballyboden out to the wings and out to the sides. Just a little bit more disciplined in your tackling, and they probably would have won the ball back eventually.
A reminder that Ballyboden are playing against a fairly stiff breeze in the first half, but they make light of it there. That was a very well taken score. Colin Basquel with his first from a free. It seems to be a bit of a theme this week. The Coakley brothers both scored frees for St. Jude's yesterday.
Castleknock have been very good with the short kick out so far. There's been really good movement from their half-back line in particular, making the job of Connolly that bit easier. He seemed to be getting his kick-outs off quite easily to a Castleknock teammate where they can start to build an attack.
Forker is bottled up, but he does manage to spill it the way of Rob Shaw, who's over his injury and fully over it, judging by the way he's running with the football. Nice turn, Ger McDermott Rowe. Cushions it. Connor Chalk. Kilkenny made the call, but it was kind of a dummy call. Chalk. McDermott Rowe. Good ball. O'Carroll takes it. O'Carroll goes for it, despite the fact that Chalk was making a good run into space, and it's kicked high and wide. A third wide for Castleknock. Good take by McCabe. Kieran Kennedy. Kennedy with a skipper into Warren Egan. Egan. Kicks Ballyboden back in front. His second.
Yeah, very impressed with Warren Egan in the club championship over the last 3-4 years. Really has become a key player for them, and I think today he does look to have the better of his man, but Ballyboden just aren't getting enough ball into him, and they'll be looking to do that a bit more as the half progresses.
Can Castleknock respond? Knocked out of the hands of Seamus O'Carroll, but he does get it back up. Stuck to him though is Cathal O'Flaherty. O'Carroll loves kicking points from angles. That didn't work out though. Gogan does very well. Flood. Having a look as James Holland. Good pass from Holland. Gets it back from Basquel. Warren Egan is floating around the square. Does come to Egan, but he's in a crowd. He does get his shot away anyway. And kicks it wide.
Couple of poor efforts then from Seamus O'Carroll, which really could come back to haunt Castleknock. Just with someone like that who has that inter-county experience for a number of years, you'd expect him to get off better kicks than he did, or maybe recycle it to a man in a better position. So you certainly would expect a little bit more out of him.
Boland. Rob Shaw. Galvin is hugging the touchline. It doesn't go to him. It comes down to Seamus O'Carroll. Has to be careful with it. Kilkenny. McDermott Rowe. Taken by Boland. He's wrapped up. He's fouled. Did well there to win the free, Boland. Well, you get a feeling if Castleknock are to have any chance in this game, they have to be at least at parity by half time, because I'll remind you they are playing with a strong breeze in the first half. McDermott Rowe. They're trying to work it short again. Warnock. Another shot sold short. That's about 3 at this stage for Castleknock. Aaron Waters. Harry Donaghy. Adam Flood. Flood just waiting. Back to Flood from the fist of Waters. Another good surging run from James Holland. Pascal takes it, pops it to the runner. That's Flood, who kicks it over. Or was it O'Reilly? It was O'Reilly.
Yeah, really good score from Ballyboden, but again, it came from an unforced error from Castleknock, dropping another shot into the goalkeeper's hands, and Castleknock turned down a good point scoring opportunity from a free there as well. They didn't go for the 40-yard free. They decided to go short, which would have been the right option if you'd managed to put it over the bar, but it's just interesting that they have turned it down 3 or 4 times now at this stage.
O'Reilly calls the mark, but he was a little bit slow in deciding, the referee, whether or not he was allowing O'Reilly to take it, but O'Reilly does have it now. When the mark rule was introduced, I had images of Gaelic football teams finding 3 giants to be in the full forward line and just kick it into them. Speaking of giants, it's a giant of the game, Ryan Basquel. Great score.
Yeah, it's very difficult to keep the Basquels quiet. Anytime you go up against them, you're really going to have to be at the peak of your powers for the full 60-65 minutes. They just ooze quality really when they're on that ball, and you're hoping that maybe the players out the pitch can try and limit the ball going into them.
Clayton wins it, spills it into the path of Simon Lambert. Lambert being forced to run a gauntlet there, but he still has the football. Basquel with Rob Shaw stuck to him. Basquel takes it really well. It's Ryan rather than Cullum. Ryan Basquel trying to get away from Shaw. Shaw has not fouled him. The referee was taking a close look. Now it's a Ballyboden line ball. Anthony Rainbow, the Ballyboden manager, of course, will be part of Glenn Ryan's team in Kildare. Some legends in that management team. Clayton. Must have thought something was on, otherwise he wouldn't have just kicked it away like that. It is claimed now by Warren Egan. It's a foul and a free into Ballyboden.
That looked a little harsh to me from a Castleknock perspective, but again, they had enough bodies back there. They shouldn't really be giving the referee an opportunity to pull them up and give really Ballyboden a handy opportunity to get a score here. Conall Keaney there involved in that attack. Like, it's actually phenomenal to see him still playing at this level, at this age, all the years and years that he's played football and hurling for Dublin and Ballyboden. From when he started playing adult football, 18, 19 years of age. I played with him at under 21s and seniors for a number of years, and he has had his fair share of injuries, but I think he turned 39 this year, and he's a phenomenal example to any player in the club.
He's just a rock, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he still loves it. I spoke to him recently about it, and he just said, look, I still love doing it.
Or he wants to get out of the house. One or the other.
Maybe that's why he loves doing it. Here's Senan Forker, still going. Senan Forker loses it in contact, but wins a free in. Kieran Kilkenny tried to pick a pass to Choke. I think we'll have to go again. Ballyboden have kind of snuck into a 4-point lead, if that makes sense.
They have, yeah. They haven't really appeared overly dominant, but they have just upped the tempo a little bit over the last 6-7 minutes and got a couple of handy scores.
McDermott Rowe into O'Carroll. McDermott Rowe is there for him if he wants him. Boland. Connor Chalk made the run. Boland went the other way to McDermott Rowe. Tom Shields. McDermott Rowe. Well, spoiler alert, we saw a shock yesterday. I wonder could we see one today. I think Castleknock winning this game would be considered a shock. There is quite an amount of time to go though. Tom Quinn. Ballyboden dispossessed them. Warren Egan, who has pace. Such a clever footballer as well. Warren Egan still going somehow. Warren Egan, will he soccer at home? No, he gets it into his hands. Has support from Keaney. Gets the shot away. Warren Egan, one of the hardest won points you'll ever see. Brilliant score from him. His third and his best of the game.
That was a brilliant point. He had no right to get a score there, really. He was outnumbered. Other bodies coming in and wasn't really getting any support from his teammates, but he somehow managed to get the ball over the bar, and I think after winning this kick out nearly as well.
From the Castleknock point of view, they probably thought, well, there's two of us here, we should be able to box him out.
Yeah.
And that's why they didn't foul him. But Warren Egan is incredibly strong and incredibly talented. I know Coleman Goggins was very, very impressed with him when he saw him against Raheny in the group stages. He was the, as we say, man of the match the first day out.
Castleknock could really do getting a couple of points. Feels like a while since they got their last score, and a 10-5 and having had a bit of a breeze in the first half, they could really need to get a couple of scores on the board to try and narrow the gap.
Boland. Ger McDermott Rowe. Rob Shaw was waiting. Hannigan. Good when he gets forward. Clever ball. Warnock. Warnock is in here. Can he get a shot away? It's in. A goal that they desperately needed. Somehow Dara Warnock squeezed it home.
That's a huge goal for Castleknock now. A couple of minutes coming towards half time is exactly what they needed.
But Graham Hannigan picks his moments in games regards getting forward, and he picked his moment well there, but Warnock had an awful lot of work to do to finish that one off. That was an exquisite goal, a brilliant goal, a real boost for Castleknock. O'Carroll goes hunting. Somehow he's won the possession. Chalk is out wide. Can Chalk get there? I think no, he gets the ball. I thought he was about to be beaten to it. Here's Kieran Kilkenny back to Chalk. Great pass to Galvin. Oh, wrong decision. Telegraphed that. It was a very good block by Kieran Kennedy, but it was what you might call a standard block. Kieran Kennedy, who is on the Dublin senior hurling panel this season.
Yeah, Kieran Kennedy really had committed to that block. It just would have taken a little sidestep or a little maybe dummy hop to get through, and would have been a handy score.
That's one for Colin Basquel to chase. He's got support coming in from the brother Ryan. Pasquale's still on it somehow. He just doesn't want to give it up, does he? Now he does. Donagh McCabe. Good ball to Simon Lambert, who is in space from McCabe. Lambert showing fleet of foot.
Great
and
score.
showing a good finish as well. His second of the game.
Yeah, he's been very impressive in this first half. He's kicked 2 really good points from the right hand side here, getting forward, supporting the attack, and showing his teammates how to do it.
Ballyboden have won it back. Here's McCabe. Good ball, Conall Keeney. Lambert and Keeney stepping up. What a response. The expendables, as one might call them.
That's a class score by Conall Keeney. Yeah, I've seen it dozens and dozens of times down through the years, but receiving that ball just on the left hand side of the D, quick look, and spinning and clipping it over the bar with his left foot. Really good score.
I thought you were about to say that's a class film. Spilled in the middle by Aaron Waters. Castleknock have got their hands on the ball again. Ballyboden conceding that goal and then restoring their 4-point lead. Here's Shane Boland. Connor Chalk. If he gets this, there could be another goal opportunity. That's a good take. It's a good turn. O'Carroll. Good save. And they won't even get the 45 out of it. Scooped up by Holland. Sent it down to Harry Donohue's. Not long out of minor. Aaron Waters. Flood. Half time. And somehow seems like a silly thing to say. We know how they're 4 points in front, but as you said, Barry, they didn't seem to be imposing themselves too much on the game at times, yet they have this lead at the break, despite conceding a goal relatively late in the half. Ballyboden 12 points, Castleknock 1-5. We'll have a look at some of the highlights of the second quarter in just a moment, but what have you made of the game so far?
Yeah, I don't think Castleknock have done a huge amount wrong, to be honest, apart from maybe one or two areas around dropping the ball into the goalkeeper's hand and maybe giving Ballyboden a couple of handy scores with ill-timed, ill-disciplined tackling. They certainly need to sharpen up on that in the second half. And I think Castleknock have been excellent in many ways, but Ballyboden, I suppose, have shown their power, their class, and they certainly look a little bit more physically strong in that department. They've been able to power through and win a few turnovers, stopping Castleknock coming out of their defence, and I think that's probably been the key area. But Castleknock forwards, they've actually won a fair few balls. They've been out in front. The likes of Seamus O'Carroll, he should have got a few more scores on the board. Connor Chalk, Ben Galvin, they have got ball in good areas and got a point or two themselves, and there's probably a little bit more in them, so certainly they'd probably like to get Kieran on the ball, Kilkenny a bit closer to goal if possible in the second half, and that could be something that the Castleknock management team will be considering as we sort of move into the third quarter.
Okay, let's have a look at some of the highlights of the second quarter. Some nice scores in here. Points from Ballyboden and a goal from Castleknock. Let's have a look at some of the points first. Keep in mind as well that Castleknock did have a very late chance for a second goal. Unfortunately for O'Carroll, Gogan saved it. Now he did make it pretty easy by kind of firing it straight at him, but still Gogan had to get out, block down the space and throw his body on the line. These are some good scores from Ballyboden.
They are, yeah, and like Ballyboden do have that extra level of quality, I think, up front. You have the two Bascals when on the ball look very good. They're probably going to be trying to get on a bit more ball in the second half. Warren Egan there as well, kicked a couple of great scores himself, had to do a lot of the hard work on his own, and even then Simon Lambert coming up and kicking a couple of points. But Castleknock, I think there's possibly another goal or two in them, and I think they if they can be a little bit more direct in the second half, they might get a bit more joy there.
Castleknock have kicked a few nice scores themselves, and they had the breeze at their backs in the first half. Unfortunately for them, they haven't been able to take advantage of that by way of going in at the break with the lead, but they're still very much in this game, and as we saw yesterday, you don't take anything for granted in the Dublin Senior Football Championship, as we've seen this weekend, and I suppose all across the life cycle of the Dublin Senior Football Championship. We'd love to hear from you, by the way, via Twitter at DubGAAOfficial. Don't forget to hashtag Go Ahead DSF1. Just to remind you of some of the results from across the weekend in the Senior 2 Football Championship and the Intermediate Championship. The draw, by the way, for the Senior 2 and Senior 1 semi-finals will be made after our second game today between Nafina and Crokes. That one starts at 4 o'clock. In the Senior 2 Football Championship, Bridget's beat St Maur's 113 to 13 points. Coola overcoming St Anne's 418 to 5 points. Temple Oak beating St Mary's 20 points to 111. Parnell's beaten by St Sylvester's 5-8 to 9 points. In the intermediate quarterfinals, Clonanagale Fontenoy 116, St Brendan's 10 points. Round Towers beating Nave Baroque on penalties St Pat's beating Clanvera 317 to 1-6, and Scully-Connell beating O'Toole's 2-9 to 1-9. Those are the scores from the intermediate quarter-finals. Before that, you heard the ones from the Senior 2 quarter-finals. Yesterday, of course, we had 2 games, and there was wins for St Jude's and Lucan, which came as a bit of a surprise. If you haven't seen the Lucan Ballymun game, it's certainly worth going back and having a look, and it's fair to say as well that St Jude's were quite impressive in their victory in their match, and I think those 2 teams will fancy their chances in the semi-final. They'll find out who they'll play today, the draw to be made after our second game. We're going to take a little bit of a break. We'll be back with the second half of Ballyboden and Castleknock very shortly. We're about to start the second half of the third Go Ahead Ireland Dublin Senior Football Championship quarter-final of the weekend. St Jude's and Lucan getting through the other 2, coming up at 4 o'clock. Nafina against Kilmacud Crokes, that's live here on Dubs TV. And after that, we've got the draw for the semi-finals of both the Senior 1 and Senior 2 Football Championships. Who will get through from this game? It's looking good for Ballyboden, but as we saw yesterday, you don't write anyone off. Barry, how are you feeling about the second half?
Yeah, well, certainly Castleknock need a good start here. The last thing they would want is Ballyboden getting on top for the first 5 or 10 minutes second half. They need to get a few early scores on the board, particularly as they're playing into this breeze as well, and hopefully they'll be trying to get a bit from their bench as well, maybe in about 10 or 15 minutes time.
Boland booming it into O'Carroll. He has chalk with him. Occasionally in the first half they made bad decisions regards shots. They're up against the breeze in the second half. That has gone wide.
Again, he's winning the ball out in front. He's getting on plenty of ball, but the finishing just hasn't been of a high enough standard this afternoon so far.
Clayton coming forward. James Hollands. Ballyboden moves so well with the football. That's a nice turnout by Holland. Pasquale picks out a very good ball. Trying to turn and twist is Ryan Basquel. Warren Egan is with him. He's almost like a third Basquel, isn't he, Warren Egan, the way he plays?
Yeah, he's been excellent today. Just very composed on the ball. Direct when he needs to be to get a couple of scores, but very comfortable.
Surging run from Cathal Flaherty. Ballyboden have to go back outside. Almost intercepting with Kilkenny. Waters got his hands on it. Warren Egan. Simon Lambert, who has kicked 2 points. Waters inside. Kieran Kennedy. Castleknock dropping players deep. Simon Lambert has Basquel in front. Well taken by Colin Basquel. Warren Egan. Warren Egan slaloming through. Warren Egan still going somehow. Eventually he's dispossessed, but it took pretty much 4 or 5 Castleknock players. Now here's Hannigan. Good ball from Hannigan down to O'Carroll. Clayton with him. Kilkenny. Castleknock migrating en masse. That's bravely and cleverly taken by Tom Shields. Shields runs onto it. Is he thinking goal or point? He's thinking point, and that's a well worked score. Tom Shields, his second of the game.
Very good score, exactly what Castleknock would have wanted. Well worked up and a bit of composure on the ball as well, playing a 1-2. A nice score off the left.
O'Reilly. Clayton. Alan Flood, he's been around a few years, but he's really taken off this year. Donald McCabe. Very versatile, Donald McCabe. He's fit and he's strong. Cathal Flaherty. Colin Basquel. Colin Basquel trying to turn and twist Forker. Colin Basquel trying to squeeze it over. And he does. That is a brilliant score from Basquel. He's second for play. He's fourth overall.
Yeah, Ballyboden a little bit more direct in their play there. Great couple of runs actually by Colin Basquel off the ball. Created a bit of space for himself, and he's practically impossible to stop in a 1-on-1 situation at club championship level. He's that strong on the ball and great balance and really nice score.
Collected by James Holland. Flaherty, who's been around the panel about 6 or 7 years. Here's Holland. It's a little bit risky, but it is taken by O'Reilly, who gives it back outside to Ryan Basquel. Dropped by Holland. He didn't take it off the ground though. He did get his foot under it. Keeney. Good ball by Keeney. Oh, what a hit that was. Waters finishes it beautifully. Well, he showed both MMA and ballerina skills there, Waters.
That was a lovely finish, it really was. He obviously, took the hit. Big, strong guy, midfielder, a bit of a mismatch going in there, and but he showed a lot of composure. A lot of midfielders that get into that goal scoring opportunity, they usually just whack the ball and can tend to hit the goalkeeper or can go wide, but he showed really nice finish there, low under the goalkeeper, and he's something obviously he's been working on this year.
Took the hit, stayed standing, then finished coolly. You have to work so hard to get to that level of composure on a football field, I imagine, Barry.
You really do, and you see it at all levels as well. It is an important part of playing club championship level, where you only get a couple of half goal chances, and you would have seen with Castleknock after 10 or 15 minutes they had that goal chance that they blazed over. Just a little bit more composure to try and coolly slot the ball low and hard, and that's exactly what Aaron Waters did there.
Well, I imagine coming into this season, Castleknock had a minimum aim of getting to the quarter-finals. They've done just that, but they want to stay now that they're here. They've worked hard and just about squeezed through. They were missing a lot of players for their first couple of games. A lot of players then playing with injuries. So today really is the first day that they would probably tell you that they're at their optimum. Maybe it was against Ballantyre, but you know what I mean. McDermott Rowe. Boland. overcooked, miscued. Alan Flood, Darren O'Reilly. Kieran Kennedy overcarries, free into Castleknock. Finally they catch a break. They need a couple of quick scores here, Barry.
They do, yeah, and it mightn't be a bad option maybe to move Kieran Kilkenny inside and try and create a one-on-one in there, be a little bit more direct, because certainly with 7 points down, you'd like to think they'll need a couple of goals to really try and get back into this game. That's a great hit.
Yeah, fantastic hit. It was James Holland. Referee will stop it up because the Castleknock player is injured. I think it's Forker.
The physicality in this Ballyboden team is absolutely phenomenal, though. Looking down at them, these are guys that are well able to go for 60, 70, 80 minutes. They've the physique, and they've obviously done the gym work the last probably 3, 4, 5 years. It's not something you build up over 1 year or 2 years. You got to put a lot of time and effort into that, particularly during the off season, and during the season itself. You know, it's not something you can stop once the games kick off, but they look like an inter-county team in terms of the size and physique that they have on display today. Certainly,
it's frightening how big they are.
Yeah, and they've plenty of pace in the team as well, along with that power, so they've a really good combination.
Forker sitting up, that's good to see. Don't forget at 4 o'clock, Kilmacud Crokes taking on Nafina. Nafina and Crokes still in the hunt for a double. Kula in the hunt for a double of sorts in the Senior 2 football and the Senior A hurling. Ballyboden, unfortunately, in Senior A hurling, losing to Kula last week after extra time. They gave it some go, but Kula's quality telling in the end. Lucan obviously still in the hunt as well for a Senior A and Senior 1 hurling and football double. And in fairness, Brendan Gallagher, I spoke to them after the game last night, the Lucan forward who kicked the winning score and who was immense all throughout, and he said without being pushed, he actually said, he brought it up himself, I want to wish best of luck to the hurlers, which was a nice thing to say at a glorious moment, to think of something other than your own circumstances. Yeah,
he's been a brilliant club player for the last 10 years, and you know, Lucan are going really well at the moment, but they've had a few years there where not a huge amount happened, but he was still the guy driving it on inside.
Here's Donald McCabe driving it on for Ballyboden. That's a bad wide, but they had the advantage coming. It's a free in. I think that Lucan in the semi-finals for the first time since something like the mid-90s.
I think in 2011 they might have got to the semi-final, because we played Ballymun in the semi-final, and I think Plunkett's played Lucan in the other semi-final. They would have had a few very good club players there, like Stephen O'Shaughnessy and Paul Casey. They're guys that were on the Dublin panel, but certainly they've had a number of barren years there, but it's good to see them making good progress.
It was a Lucan man who told me that, so maybe he wiped that semi-final from his mind.
I think Plunkett's beat them handy enough that day,
yeah.
So maybe that's true.
It's a bit like with me in Waterford. We didn't get to an All-Ireland final in hurling in 2008. Never happened. Here's O'Reilly. Shaughnessy and Casey, they were kind of the prototype for a lot of these guys. Here comes Colin Basquel. Looks to cut back. Looks for an option. Finds one in O'Reilly. That's well taken. Going to ground, Simon Lambert. Spills away Shane Clayton. Flaherty has plenty of options. Flaherty. Ballyboden using their pace again and winning a free in. No Michael Dara McCauley obviously this season.
He's gone travelling.
That's right. I was talking to him recently. He answered the phone by saying, I'm up a mountain in Italy. And I thought to myself, that's the most Michael Dara McCauley thing Michael Dara McCauley could ever say.
Yeah, absolutely.
The man deserves a break, in fairness. He's given everything for club and county over the last number of years.
Definitely, and I think even the way things transpired, just with Dublin the last year or two and COVID, etc. I think he just wanted to get a break and get away for a few months, which is
probably wants to give the
titled.
NBA one last shot as well. Colin Keeney being spoken to by the referee. Well, we will be naming a player of the match a little bit later on. Barry, your options are fairly plentiful. I imagine most of those options at the moment wearing blue and white. Colin Keeney gets a yellow card. He's jogging off. Is he just getting back into position?
I think there's a substitution there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Connell deserves a rest.
He wouldn't want one though.
No, he wouldn't at all.
Yeah.
But I suppose playing Bocos over the last number of weeks, it can take its toll on you. So even if the player doesn't put his hand up for a rest, I think the management should know when to try and give guys a bit of a break. And all going well for Ballyboden. They get through today. They have 2 weeks to the semi-final, so he'll be raring to go for that one.
Kieran Riley has come in for Ballyboden. Broke into the team a couple of years ago. Generally plays around half forward. That was not an easy effort. It was hooked over wonderfully well by Ryan Pascal. Tom Shields jumping into that. Graham Hannigan. Tolan. Bit of a miscommunication for Castleknock. It's taken back. Here's Aaron Waters. Goes to ground. Kieran O'Reilly. Back inside. Comes to him from Pascal. O'Reilly back to Ryan Pascal. Warren Egan. Waters was making a run, but he was covered. Now it's Shane Clayton. Warren Egan. It's been a bitty second half so far. That'll suit Ballyboden. It'll just allow them to kill the clock a bit. They lead by 8 points. Castleknock have 14 players behind the ball. Dara Gogan, the goalkeeper, is just over his own 45. I don't know if you're seeing that at the moment, but here's James Holland. Donna McCabe into the path of Clayton. Kicked it into a crowd, but it's still won by Ballyboden. Looped off to Aaron Waters. Waters inside to Kieran O'Reilly. Good score by O'Reilly. Not long off the bench.
Really well worked score. Aaron Waters in the thick of it again. He's been excellent today and really nice scoring. Exactly what a manager would like to see. Guys coming off the bench and having an immediate impact on the game. He'll be pushing hard for trying to get a start in the team the next day.
I imagine it's frustrating for O'Reilly because he started all the league games. And like any player, he wants championship time. O'Carroll making a run inside is Kieran Murphy. Got a goal the other night against Ballantyre. Now he's fouled. Free will be taken by McDermott Rowe. He's only scored 1 point today so far. Coming up to the water break, Castleknock desperately needs something. Just 1 point in the second half so far. Ballyboden have scored 1-3 since the resumption. Can Castleknock do something here from the Ballyboden kick out? Falls away of Flaherty. Clayton. Lambert. Simon Lambert motoring forward. Plenty of runners there. Into the hands beautifully of Donna McCabe. Flood spills it. Castleknock, can they go on the break? Can they do something quickly here? Kevin Kinlan is in. an experienced player. McDermott Rowe cushions it back to Chalk. Boland. Tolan is available for him. Tolan. Falls kindly for Castleknock. Can they get a chance here? Kieran Kilkenny. Kilkenny wins the free in. That's a bit better from Castleknock in the last 2 minutes or so.
It is, yeah. They've been moving the ball around a little bit better. A bit more movement and support from the players up front as well. And it was Kieran Kennedy did very well to win that free, which should result in a score here.
2 points in a row for Castleknock, and a positive to cling on to as we head towards the water break, which is happening right now. 115 to 1-8, 7 points between them. It's unlikely that Castleknock can close the gap, but if there's any chance at all, they'll keep playing, and they have enough talent out there to, at the very least, create some chances. Let's have a look at the highlights of the third quarter.
I suppose Castleknock started very well in the third quarter and finished well with a couple of scores, but in between Ballyboden have been extremely dominant. Got a lot of really good scores. Good spread of scores as well. This was an excellent turn and shot by Collie Pascal. He's grown into the game that bit more, I think, in the second half. And here's a goal from Aaron Waters, as I said, a really good composed finish, which is not something you see too often from midfielders getting into that position. And really they've just grabbed control of this game in that third quarter. And you can see that there's probably another level or two in them as well. That was an excellent score when Kieran O'Reilly came in for Conall Keaney. He was only on the pitch and kicked a lovely score with his left foot. And I think, like, for Anthony Rainbow, this is like a dream team nearly that he can manage, because they look like an inter-county player. They've a huge panel there of sort of 15, 20, 25 guys that are well able to play this level. Their conditioning is exceptional, and you know, they don't have too many county players that are gone away from the group on a regular basis either. It's really only Collie Pascal, maybe Ryan was in with Dublin a little bit, but you know, every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday they're going to have the same group of 25 guys training week in, week out, which is huge for any manager and for any team that's looking to do well in the Dublin Senior Club Championship. You saw with Ballymun what they did last year, having their full set of players available the whole time, leading in the lead up before inter-county season, whereas this year is the exact opposite, where all their inter-county players were coming back probably tired and drained, having to go into this sort of the cut and thrust of the Dublin Senior Club Championship.
It's 12 injuries, Ballymun. Now, some of the guys who played last night played injured and they weren't 100% right, and I really don't want to take away from Lucan, but you could see it at times. Yeah,
exactly, and these guys are coming back into a setup, Oisín, where they're drained and they're probably, you know, sort of on their way down from a conditional point of view compared to what they've been doing for the last 6, 7, 8 months. It can be difficult for guys to turn it on, and I think for the likes of Ballyboden, if they had 5 or 6 guys involved with a county setup, it would be a bit more of a challenge, but they're in a really good place at the moment.
Darren Nelson has replaced Darren O'Reilly. They're not losing any experience on the pitch by putting Nelson for O'Reilly, are they? No, and then you likes of Bob Dwan and Declan O'Mahony, who's been there as a senior club footballer probably since 2000, 2001. There's still a huge amount of experience there, even with Michael Darren McCauley not being available this year, which really bodes well for them. I used to live in or around the same Lewis stop as Declan O'Mahony, and in the mornings you just see him towering above everyone else. He was an unmistakable presence. Yeah, well, he's been one of the best club midfielders in Dublin for the last 15 or 20 years. It's shown remarkable consistency. Flicked on into the path of Flaherty. Flaherty, can he soccer at home? Flaherty! It's blocked on the line. Chance still there for Ballyboden. Probably should have done better with that. It's easy to say from here, but maybe if he put a bit of air in it, then it would have gone in. Donagh McCabe. Keeper did very well to get across, because it looked like he was trying to dummy him and create that little bit of a space and gap towards the near post, but in fairness to Connolly, he read it really well and got down and got his hands on it. Ballyboden tried to work it in again, getting a foot in there was Kieran Murphy to get it clear. Credit to Senan Forker, who got back and cleared it pretty much off the line. Harry Donaghy got his hands on that, moved it away pretty quickly, will fall back to Flaherty. Clayton. Good take and turn. Paddy Dunleavy, who was also part of the hurlers last week. Basquel, beautifully knocked over by Cullum for his third from play, his fifth overall.
Yeah, just timed his run there. 25 yard run across the pitch, little turn and back in, created a space for himself, and it was a very easy score from someone of Colley's standard.
Ballyboden have run the bench a bit. Paddy Dunleavy has come in, as we say, part of the senior hurling setup this season as well. Has played under 20 hurling for Dublin. He's very versatile, Dunleavy. Now they have a player down, it's Warren Egan. He's clawing himself back up. Ballyboden have intercepted the kick out. James Holland just let it slip out of his hands. The goal chance is beginning to come for Ballyboden. Falls the way of Warren Egan, who's over whatever injury he had a couple of seconds ago. Holland moved it off for the looping run. Basquel, McCabe going to ground, free in.
I'd love to see Collie Basquel get a proper run with Dublin next year. I think it's been a little tricky for him the last year or two with a lot of Dublin players sort of retiring and in transition, and the whole COVID thing as well. He hasn't got a run of games with them, but if he was able to get 6 or 7 Division 1 league games under his belt next February or March, I think it'd really stand to him come next summer, and he could be a big player for Desi Farrell, because these are all the ingredients to be a top class inter-county footballer. Hasn't quite happened for him yet.
Ryan Basquel. Got a little bit caught in the breeze and drifted wide. As it stands, it shouldn't make too much of a difference. 8 points the gap. Castleknock need to rally, but it doesn't look like they can or will. They're up against a very strong Ballyboden team. Rob Shaw's fouled, or I think there was someone maybe in or around the 20 metre line, and that's why we are going back for a throw ball. He was inside the D, I think, was the issue. Ballyboden have claimed the possession. Basquel strokes it over. Good score from Ryan Basquel. Second from play. Castleknock looked gassed, don't they?
Did you? Yeah, maybe Tuesday night did take its toll, but I just think it's very, very difficult to live with this Ballyboden team. They've such energy and power in their team. It's nearly impossible to stop them at the moment.
Kevin Kinlan. They need a goal. Can they get one? Kinlan! A brave block. Might have been Kieran Kennedy who got in the way of that one. Kinlan knew he had to go for it. Credit to him for not taking the easy point. But ultimately they come away with nothing. Dunleavy got onto it, then moved it off to McCabe. Darren Nelson. Clayton. Gogan. Holland. Tolan wraps him up a bit. Holland escapes the shackles. Donaghy. McCabe. Flaherty. Flood. Flood receives it. I know I say this quite a lot about the Dublin Club Championship and teams in the Dublin Club Championship, but in any other county I can only imagine how many of these Ballyboden players, and indeed Castleknock players, but especially Ballyboden, would be playing inter-county football.
Absolutely, yeah. I think this Ballyboden team would do well in Division 3 of the league, to be honest.
Yep.
They'd be more than competitive.
Flaherty. Good ball taken by Ryan Basquel. Colm had drifted in off the shoulder. Now he's covered. Oh, it's opened up nicely here for Kieran Riley. And it's a second goal for Ballyboden. Kieran Riley, a nice tidy finish.
Yeah, and he looks like a really tidy footballer himself. He's been very economical on the ball since he came on. Already kicked a really good score, but that was nicely worked. And you know, Ballyboden have so much football on them, and they're very intelligent on the ball as well. They seem to know where guys are making the runs, what their movement is, timing the runs, etc., timing the passes. Really good understanding on the pitch. And again, we spoke about it earlier about being one-on-one with the goalkeeper and having that bit of composure to hit it hard and low under the keeper, and that's the second time they've done it, and it's probably something that Castleknock have lacked a little bit.
The unmistakable Declan O'Mahony is in now for Ballyboden. Paddy Dunleavy wins it and moves it off to McCabe. The thing about Ballyboden is they won't take the foot off the gas. They'll want even more. Can they get more here? Referee says get up, no penalty for Darren Nelson. Free out for Castleknock. 217 to 1-8, a very harsh scoreline, but Ballyboden have taken their chances. Castleknock sold a few short in the first half, had a goal chance saved by Dara Gogan towards the end of the first half, and Ballyboden have taken the kind of opportunities that Castleknock haven't. That's a mark called. Tommy McDaniel. It just about gets there. Tommy McDaniel knocks it over.
It's very, very difficult to get into that top bracket in the Dublin Senior Club Championship, though. You know, you can make strides and go up a couple of levels in terms of being competitive in Senior 1 Championship and maybe getting out of your group, etc. But to try and break into that top 4 maybe and be a serious contender takes a huge amount of effort and work. It's just the standard is so high in this county.
McDaniel with the score there for Castleknock, a Westmeath footballer. Will they get another chance here? Can they come up with a big finish? It was aimed towards Kieran Kilkenny, but Ballyboden just intercepting it, getting in the way. It's a good tackle by Tom Quinn, but ultimately he has committed the foul. It will be a free. Free in for Castleknock. And as you were saying, Barry, it's not like they've done anything wrong. It's just Ballyboden are a much better team. Maybe fatigue was an issue for Castleknock. It was a hard-won match against Ballantyre. All matches at this stage of the season are hard-won. Can they get a goal here? It's Boland.
And it's funny, the extra Raheny game probably did stand to them as well, because they won that first game quite handy. Probably didn't get a huge amount out of it, whereas, you know...
Oh, they're unlucky. Cannons off the crossbar and goes wide, but the referee, is he saying 45? Or is he giving another free? I think they're saying 45, yep.
That additional game they got against Raheny, Raheny were excellent in that game and actually could have snuck it, but I think that level of test that they got in that game would have stood for them really going into the knockout stages.
I wonder will he go for the point here or just try and drop it in. Seamus O'Carroll. He's knocking it in. Kilkenny takes it, moves it off, takes a deflection and goes over rather than under. It was a good attempt from Westmeath's McDaniel, but ultimately a point rather than a goal. Flaherty moving it off to Holland. Dunleavy. He's dispossessed. O'Carroll. Castleknock looking to come up with a big finish. Good ball. McDaniel already got two. Oh, he kind of cut across it and went wide on the near side. Scogan. Oh man, he somehow gets his hand on that. Castleknock receive it back. Hannigan kind of soccered it up to Forker. To the near side and Paul Burke. Kinlan. Kinlan has a look. Holds on to it. Kinlan still with it. Boland. Good clever ball inside. Well taken by O'Carroll. Oh, he falls at the vital time. Kept his composure. It falls to McDaniel. McDaniel trying to cut through. And lobbing one wide. He's unlucky.
Yeah, he's had an impact since he came on. I remember watching him 4 or 5 years ago, and he was excellent for Castleknock in the Dublin Senior Club Championship as a wing forward. He's obviously that inter-county pedigree coming in from Westmeath. Not getting the starting place at the moment, but you can see that there is a bit of quality there, and probably a pity for Castleknock that they weren't able to get more out of him this year.
It's a Castleknock ball. To their credit, they haven't dropped the heads. They've kept working even though they know the game is gone. Now, as we were saying earlier on, there's a lot to be said for staying up in the championship, getting to the knockout stages. Kieran Kilkenny picked it off the ground. It's important to establish yourself in the club championship, and because they got to a final a couple of years ago, that's probably the standard they set themselves. But they've got a lot of young players coming through. They're a relatively young club, so they're in a good spot.
Yeah, they probably got to that final a little bit too soon, to be honest, in terms of expectations, but they are more than holding their own at this level, and being in Division 1 as well on a regular basis. You're getting that 15 league matches against good quality opposition sort of week in, week out, that really does stand to you. So there's still plenty there to work from.
Well, while we have a stoppage in play, it's time for you, Barry Cahill, to name your Go Ahead Ireland Dublin Senior Football Championship Player of the Match.
Yeah, plenty of options on mainly the Ballyboden side. Simon Lambert has been excellent getting forward, kicking a couple of good points. Warren Egan has been very good throughout the game as well, and Collie Bascal has showed a lot of his class. But the one I'm going for is Aaron Waters. I thought he's been outstanding from the first whistle today. Really commanding midfielder, big, strong, athletic, able to get up and down the pitch and get tackles in, and it was his goal that was probably the key score in the game. Made a great sort of 50-60 yard run into the opposition area, big hit, and a really composed finish. So for me, he's the man of the match today.
Boland just sold a little bit short from Kinlan. Ballyboden seeing it out, running it out. The goals have been vital today. Aaron Waters with a good one. Kieran O'Reilly took his well as well. Castleknock got the goal through Dara Warnock, but haven't taken chances that have come their way since, and that has really cost them. Ballyboden with the free in. Free in for Ballyboden. A little bit of afters after that. Don't think Warren Egan was too happy with the trip. Reaction to come to this game. Shane Stapleton on the sideline today, a man who's all too familiar with Dublin Championship success, granted in the small ball rather than the big ball. Won a couple of All-Irelands with Kula as well. Free for Castleknock. Alex Watson took it well, another one of the young breed who's played underage for Dublin. Here's Kevin Kinlan. Kinlan still going. Kilkenny, they're after a goal, there's no doubt about that. You'd love to see them get one. Kilkenny will have to scramble after that. Put his body on the line. Watson was there waiting. Boland is fouled. Boland inside. Seamus O'Carroll. O'Carroll! A powerful shot, but not an accurate one in a goal scoring sense. It goes over the crossbar.
Yeah, he's won a lot of ball there today. he's really showed well in terms of movement and getting out in front and getting his hands on the ball. It has largely stuck when Castleknock have been a bit more direct, but just his finishing has been a little bit off.
That's it. Ballyboden cruised through to the semi-finals. Castleknock showing well at times, but not well enough maybe across the 60 minutes. Ballyboden's skills and strengths, the real difference in the end, 217 to 111 the final score. Reaction to come in a few moments, but Barry Cahill, I don't think we can have any arguments about the result.
No, I think for Ballyboden they just moved through the gears really as the match progressed. Castleknock were competitive in the first half, but just missed those couple of goal chances that they had that they really needed to take to try and stay in the game. Ballyboden just upped it a little bit as he went into the second quarter, and then certainly in the third quarter they took over there for about 10 or 12 minutes. They were very dominant around the middle of the pitch. Nice spread of scores amongst the team as well, and those couple of goals they got were really well finished. So I think for Anthony Rainbow and his management team, they're in a really good place going into the semi-finals. They seem to be approaching top gear at the business end of the year, which is exactly what you want. But like the physicality that they bring to their play, their conditioning, so many guys on that pitch are well able to go up and down the pitch for 60-70 minutes, absolutely no problem, and they have the football as well, which obviously is what you need. Absolutely.
We'll hear from the player of the match in just a few moments, but before we do, let's have a look at some of the highlights of the third quarter. In truth, the game was done by the start of the fourth quarter, I should say, not the third quarter, but Ballyboden still were impressive. This though, an impressive clearance off the line by Senan Forker, throwing his body on the line for his team, but Ballyboden just had too much.
They did, yeah, and I was really impressed with the spread of scores. Not just the two Pascals. Darren O'Reilly got in to get a score. Simon Lambert obviously got two himself, but they really took over during that period, and very hard running off the ball as well, which obviously created a lot of space for scores. Castleknock didn't give up and certainly created a couple of scoring chances themselves, but the likes of Kieran O'Reilly coming in, he really impressed me as well, scoring 1-1 off the bench, and this is a really classy finish with his left foot.
Very classy indeed. Excellent score. We saw some nice ones today. This one worked fairly well.
Yeah, certainly Tommy McDonald's, when he came on, he did have an impact. I think he had maybe 3 or 4 shots when he came on and got a couple of points, and possibly Castleknock would have liked to have got a bit more out of him if he was able to start the game. But certainly there was no doubt as to, once we got into the second quarter, who were actually going to come out on top today.
Well, Ballyboden getting through to the semi-finals, 217 to 111. They've beaten Castleknock. Coming up at 4 o'clock, the fourth and final quarter-final between Nafina and Kilmacud Crokes. After that game, by the way, we will have the draws for the Go Ahead Ireland Dublin Senior Football Championship 1 semi-finals and Dublin Senior Football Championship 2 semi-finals. And if you want to find out who's in those semi-finals, you can do so by going to the social media channels. The best one to go to is actually Twitter @DubGAAOfficial. And don't forget, if you have any comment to make, by all means do, and hashtag it Go Ahead DSF1. Aaron Waters is the Go Ahead Ireland player of the match. He's beside Shane Stapleton on the sideline. Shane.
Delighted to say I'm joined by Aaron Waters here, man of the match at the Go Ahead Dublin man of the match. I'll give that to you first of all. Can you just tell me the size of the battle that you had there today? Obviously your local supporters are giving you a big round of applause there, but talk to me about the size of the battle you had there today.
Yeah, well, we knew Castleknock were a serious outfit coming in, and obviously 2 games in a week was always going to be tough, but everything was based around what we wanted to implement, our game plan, and try to eradicate as much thinking about the opposition and just focus on what we wanted to get out of the game. And I think that showed in the end. Everything just seemed to go to plan today, to be fair. Your goal ended up being very key there in the second half. Nice big collision, and you finished it nicely to the net. I'd say that was you were feeling that collision for a little while. My knee's still a bit rattled after it now, so me and number 4 had a good laugh about it after, but it was just good to get in the score sheet, but it was off the back of a well-worked move, and that's what we're trying to achieve with every score we get. And speaking of number 4s, your own number 4, Cathal Flaherty, had a very good game, man-marked Kieran Kilkenny, which is no easy feat, did very well. Yeah, look, he's one of my good friends, and he's one of the best defenders in Dublin, if not the best, and he always gets stuck with the man marking job, so it's great that he's getting the credit he richly deserves, to be fair. No doubt you're a bit frustrated with how last season ended. You've a chance to go now again. The county champions are out in Ballymun, so talk to us about it. It opens up for everyone from here on in. Yeah, look, everyone that's left in the semi-final stage is serious outfit to be reckoned with. So it's just a matter of go back, decompress, see who we get in the next round, and then let's make a plan for 2 weeks' time.
Well, congrats. You are the go-ahead man of the match. Aaron Waters, back up to you, Oisín.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks a mil.
Sound out.
See you now.
I'll give you the spots.
Yeah. Thanks a mil. See you again.
Thank you. Anthony, how you doing? Shane?
Hey Shane, how are you?
Not too bad. Will you do that one?
I will do.
Will you keep it just kind of under your chin?
Here like that, yeah.
Yeah, more or less under your chin and kind of face the camera.
Yeah, of course.
I'm joined now by winning manager Anthony Rainbow. Anthony, you saw off Castleknock, but it wasn't easy, but you made a nice burst in the second quarter, and that probably set you up for the win.
Yeah, I suppose the first quarter of Castleknock really came out at us, and it was nip and tuck in that first 15 minutes. But we had a really positive, good second quarter. We adjusted a couple of things at the 15-minute break, and we got a nice, comfortable lead going in at half time then, which is sort of the foundation for the second half performance.
Yeah, and the goals kind of just obviously finished it off a little bit. But were you in any way concerned when they got one themselves?
You definitely are. You always are concerned when you have the quality of Castleknock there. You know, it's tough on them playing 2 games in a couple of days, and I know some of them would have played hurling the weekend before that. You know, so there's probably an element of fatigue would have set in the second half. We still have a lot of areas that we need to improve on over the next 2 weeks, and I suppose we're looking forward to getting stuck into that.
And you do have a couple of dual players yourself, some of them the likes of Simon Lambert and Conal Keeney played 80 minutes last week, so it must be difficult to juggle that.
Yeah, it is. I suppose you sort of have to look after those guys when they come back, especially after 80 minutes last Sunday against Coola. So they did light sessions during the week, but again they're eager to get involved, they're eager to get their hands on the ball, and they're eager to train during the week, so you know they're great guys.
I was going to ask you about Cathal Flaherty and the job he did on Kieran Kilkenny. Nearly got a Leo Messi-esque goal at the other end too.
I better have a chat with him about stop doing that, maybe hand it off to Collie or Ryan, but no, Cal had a fine game. He's a fantastic footballer. He's been incredible for us over the last 3 or 4 years since I've come in, and you know he's top quality. And
the championship very much opens up from here.
It does, yeah, it is. Like, quarterfinals is the business end of things. Things get tighter once you get to the semi-final, but look, it's where we want to be and we're looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, brilliant stuff, Anthony Rainbow. You're through to the semi-final, and we'll be doing the draw a little bit later on, and we'll see who you'll get in it. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much. Thank you. Cheers. Thanks very much. Cheers. See ya.